first round of Season 9 started off in familiar fashion, with Brandon Proudfoot taking the win in textbook form at Eldora. But despite that win, our defending champion continues to issue warnings about competition coming from the rest of the field. Will tonight be the night that we see those challenges come to fruition, or will Proudfoot continue his winning ways? As we get ready to take to the track here at Weedsport, it's only a matter of time until we find out. Welcome, everyone, to Round 2 of Season 9 for the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series. My name is DJ Clark, and on behalf of the Virtual Grip Network, my partner here in the booth, Austin Belke, and the rest of us behind the scenes, we'd like to thank you for joining us here tonight. Weedsport is one of the newer dirt tracks brought to the iRacing service, and with its tight turns, it seems to always prove a challenge. Austin, what can the drivers expect from this circuit here tonight?
Hey DJ, yeah, you mentioned it. Kind of a small track. It's only 0.375 miles long, 0.6 kilometers, relatively flat banking. Granted, we'll still get up high by the wall. It's definitely a highline track if you want to make it work. You have opportunities to do it. This track was opened up in the 50s. Usually you got the big block modifieds and the sprint cars running around here, so these dirt street stocks can really afford to rip around this place. The two out of the last three races were won by Brandon Proudfoot, so the drivers can pretty much expect to be following him around the entire night. But I wouldn't be too surprised, as Brandon mentioned, to see someone else sneak up there and come away with a win.
It's going to be interesting for sure. And before we get to that on-track action, we want to let you know that tonight's race is sponsored by Gargamel's Kitchen. Gargamel's Kitchen is a food-grade nitrous oxide provider located in Denver, Colorado, and a proud sponsor of the Bootleg Racing League. Visit their office at 2045 South Valencia Street or give them a call at 720-707-6178. Well, and as we mentioned earlier, we do have a championship here, and despite the fact it's only one race in, we've got a familiar name at the top, and that is in the form of Brandon Proudfoot, currently on top of the standings with 84 points. Johnny Ratley's behind him, only 4 points back, with Steven Spees coming back to make it a reappearance in this series. He's about 6 points back of our leader. Billy Northcutt sits back with 70 points, and J.R. Shepard right behind him with 67. With points being able to be scored across all races here tonight, those points could change around very, very quickly. But Austin, I believe you also have some race details for us here today.
That'll be correct. We're going to have heats tonight, typical dirt track stuff. 6 laps, 6 cars. The first 2 drivers in the finishing order transfer to the main event. Then, if you don't make it in that way, you go to the B main. As you mentioned, though, DJ, it looks like we have more than 18 cars, more than 20 even, so some guys aren't going to make the cut. They'll have to go home. One of the worst feelings in the world, but, of course, you can still advance through in the B main. The feature is going to be 40 laps, 18 cars advance to that. Points are scored in qualifying, the heats, the B main, and the feature, so plenty of opportunities for these guys that aren't currently in the championship lead to get back into it. The track state's going to start at 0%, and then from there it's going to slowly build up over time to get higher and higher to be probably completely worn out by the end of this race.
Yeah, and that's going to be a storyline that we follow throughout the course of this race. Brandon Proudfoot in particular, very well known as a driver that can read the track perfectly. And at a place like Weedsport, I think that's going to be very, very important. Well, drivers are out on track right now for that qualifying session like we talked about. Only about a minute left to go here, and it's Johnny Ratley leading off the whole field. Jim Revis behind him, Chris Davis, William Hargraves, and Brennan Myers making up your top 5. But Austin, as we've seen a couple of times, those practice times, they're not necessarily indicative of what the race is going to look like.
That's right, DJ. What we'll see most of the time is someone gets out there at the beginning of practice when the track status is 0. That's the grippiest the track's going to be all night from what I've seen. So if you can get out there and do some hot laps, you can be one of the slowest guys overall, but your fastest time is going to be up on the board. So you could be someone, maybe Johnny Ratley was the first one in here, and he does, of course, a 17.6. So maybe as you get further down in the race, his time isn't competitive relative to like Chris Davis or J.R. Shepard, even Brandon Proudfoot. He's what, 7th or 8th currently on the timesheets. That's just because he did his lap a little bit later than these other guys who got in here first. So I wouldn't rely too much on those times, but definitely I would expect a cream to rise to the top.
I think that's certainly right. And as I said, we've got about 10 seconds to go here. A lot of names that we're familiar with, a lot of new names also showing up. So it'll be very, very interesting. And for the first time in a while, we've got a big chunk of drivers that will miss out on the A main if they are not able to qualify through the B main. Watching there as Barney waves the checkered flag for practice here. Drivers are going to get 4 laps of solo qualifying out here at Weedsport. And Austin, this is where the fun really starts.
Yeah, it'll be super interesting to see how the qualifying order shakes out. Do you go at the beginning of qualifying? Do you wait until the end of the 5 minutes? Where do you go during that time? There's a lot of wiggle room, of course. Usually we'll see some of the fast guys wait a little while.
We will indeed. And one of the storylines that we want to kind of bring your eye to as we get ready to go qualifying here is some of the changes that iRacing has made. In the past, we've talked a lot about that tricky exit off of turn 4, that wall there that we've seen catch out several drivers. Well, they've made some tweaks to that, and some of the netcode issues that have plagued drivers earlier, iRacing has addressed that. So hopefully we're not going to see as many of big licks into that wall as we normally do. Right now, though, waiting for drivers to set their fastest times as they come around. And it looks like first up is going to be Austin Smith on the board with an 18.3.
Yeah, John Wilson and Jeffrey Harden are going to come around to complete their first lap. So far, no one's going to challenge Smith yet. Oh, Robbie Robinson jumps to the top of the timesheets with an 18 flat.
That's a good time. And Chris Davis able to pip him by a couple of hundredths of a second there. There is Davis on your screen in that familiar number 7 machine. John Wilson continuing a string of strong runs, gets him into 5th. I see Jeffrey Harden there. Kevin Moody now bumping his way up into 5th place. A lot of the big names yet to set a time. Zachary Chapman, a relative newcomer here to the series, he bumps his way up into 3rd. Here is Steven Spies. Good to see him back in the series. He has been absent for a couple of seasons. He's running that high line coming out of 3 and 4 right now. Joe Segala, I'm seeing coming up to 11th. Billy Northcutt comes into 5th. That is an outlap there for Spies, so this is his hot one.
Yep, Steven's someone who come out of the scene in BRL really, really well in this series. And, of course, he also has an immense amount of talent in the Grand National League. You know, every time Steven shows up, he's always one to be reckoned with when it comes to even the asphalt as well. Really cool to see him back more often. Oh, Billy Northcutt going a little bit too high there into what we're going to call the marbles on dirt. Just a little bit out of the groove. Hopefully he can come back and set down some faster laps. Currently only 8th on the board for him, but I would expect him to be right up there with Davis, Hayes, and Spies.
Ooh, Bobby Hayes putting in a very good time to come up into P3. I just see Brendan Myers bumping his way up into P10. There is that fistful of water driver as he makes his way around. Brendan Myers up into 10th. Jim Revis, a little surprising to see him back in the field in 11th at the moment. Here's Hunter Hill, another new face there. Seth Castle coming up into 11th. Hill, currently your slowest driver out on track. We're still waiting for times from Justin Morton, Brandon Proudfoot, Matt Shanoski, J.R. Shepard, and our fellow boothmate, Kenny Kibbe.
Yeah, I talked to Kenny a bit before this race. He was really looking forward to it. I would expect for Brandon Proudfoot to definitely jump into at least the top 5. Same kind of deal from J.R. Shepard. Looks like J.R.'s put in a lap so far. Looks like he is currently, 9th or so. So maybe we'll get laps from the rest of these guys. Looks like Brandon Proudfoot just put in his first lap as well, jumped himself up to 3rd.
Yeah, so he is going to be pretty happy with that, but the guy who is most happy out on track right now is going to be Johnny Ratley, who is currently on pole. J.R. Shepard bumping his way up into 4th. Proudfoot crosses over the line. Is he going to be able to improve? No. That is about 0.6 of a second off. Kenny Kibbe puts down his first time. That's going to net him a P8 right now, so he's still got some work to go. You can see there on your screen, that is Brandon Proudfoot with that signature one-handed driving style that we've talked to him multiple times about.
Yeah, you can really see him leaning in the car. He's got VR, so he's able to look with his head, turn around, see what's going on. You can see a full body lean there. He's really getting into it. Look at just how deep he goes in the corners. Really cuts really close to that wall. Kenny Kibbe, though, up to P3 in qualifying. What a great job from Kenny.
We're not supposed to be biased up here in the booth, but I'm always going to cheer for a commentator, so great job for Kenny. Here's Billy Northcutt. Remember earlier he got up into the high line and touched the wall. That negated his time. Let's see if the double zero is going to be able to do anything better here. Looks like that's not an improvement. Matt Shanoski putting a time on the board. That'll get him 24th. Still waiting for a lap, though, from Justin Morton, as he is one of the drivers that is always interesting to watch, always seems to find his way to cut through the field. Here's another lap for Billy Northcutt. Is that going to count for anything for him? No, it doesn't look like that's going to get him anything, so Billy not having the best runs here. Here is the number 9, though, of Justin Morton. Looks like a little bit of a slow lap there for him. Something maybe not feeling right for the number 9.
Yeah, it looks like he already has damage in the right front of his car. I think he's going to pull off and get a new one. Hopefully, he'll still have time. No, I think he's done, actually. I don't think he'll be able to put down another lap. I think he might actually be the last car in qualifying. I don't think he'll put down a lap at all. So we see time's about to run out as Billy Northcutt tries to finish another lap to see if he can improve. Oh, just barely comes close, but of course, no cigar. So that will just advance into the heats.
It will indeed. And the first of those heats is right and ready to go here. And leading it off, it's going to be Johnny Ratley in his Dirt Panda machine, followed by Chris Davis. Zachary Chapman will line up in third, followed by the Canadian John Wilson, and Joe Segala will start off in fifth.
We'll have to see which line Ratley ends up choosing here. I feel like it'll be a bottom dominant race so far. Eventually, the top's going to come in, but I don't see quite enough speed up there just yet for him to warrant, of course, giving up a pole position, I guess. But he can fire off whenever he wants. Of course, we will go green on him. We don't do the iRacing green here, not even for the initial start. So we'll see if Johnny decides to stay on the inside here.
We will indeed. And I think with some good competition around him, John Wilson, as we've documented, has had some really good runs lately. He's going to be trying to fight his way up forward. Also, keep an eye on Chris Davis, one of the more fun drivers to watch here, an aggressive but fair driver. Watch for him to put some pressure on to Johnny Ratley as they get going around here. 2 laps of pacing behind this iRacing pace truck. So we'll have to see what happens. And don't let our viewers be a little bit scared, as you will see that pace truck scamper off the track once they're ready to go.
Yeah, he sort of just goes off the track almost as if the world is flat and he's just going to fold right over the edge. But that's just how it is. It looks really weird here. You just kind of got to get used to it if you're a driver.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks like Ratley in that number 1 machine will be opting for the bottom line. So good call on that, Austin. We get ready here for that pace truck to pull off. Just waiting for it, waiting for it, waiting for it at this point. Up to that high line, waiting for the scamper. There he goes. Control is put over to Johnny Ratley. He's waiting to get on the loud pedal, and there he goes. A good start for Johnny Ratley. He's going to be able to pull a car length ahead. Chris Davis going to be close up behind him. John Wilson tried to make a little bit of move in the back, but got 2 bars sideways, and that'll see him drop down the order.
Yeah, fields are already single filed out so far right now. Everyone kind of going around the bottom of the track. Chris Davis trying to try that high line, maybe see if there's any grip up there. Joe Segala get real sideways in the back, trying to defend from John Wilson. I would expect John to maybe make this move in the next lap or two to see if he can get around Joe. Of course, he'll want to get up to 4th because that's where he qualified, but even if he gets up to 3rd, that'd be a huge one for him because, of course, he starts on the pole for the teammate.
He would indeed, and there goes Scala getting on by as it is. Wilson trying to get on by as it is. That battle for the lead is spreading out, so we're going to keep our eyes focused right here. Wilson looks like he is in control of that position, although it will be said Scala trying to give him a little bit of pressure. Everybody running pretty single file here as we cross over halfway to go in this first heat.
Yeah, I was surprised just how much of a fight Joe was able to put up to John on that outside line. Oh, getting real loose into 1. It looks like you can kind of hang on to it in 3 and 4, but in 1 and 2, you really need to kind of cut it low and then swing out wide in the second half, whereas if you just enter high, the car is really going to slide out towards the wall, and I'd be really worried about damaging your toe in at that point if you hit it too hard.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of the unique things here about this Weedsport Speedway circuit. It's almost a trapezoid in the way it is. The turns 1 and 4 are very, very tight, but the drivers who are really able to master that so-called trapezoid, that is going to be Ratley and Davis. They continue to run 1-2 in those transfer positions. Davis, you see there, trying to run a little bit on a high line, close in the best he can on Johnny Ratley, but Ratley just keeping to that low line all the way around, and there comes Barney waving the checkered flag as Johnny Ratley and Chris Davis cross over the line. Zachary Chapman, John Wilson, and Joe Segala coming home 3rd, 4th, and 5th. They will go to the B main. And we get ready here for the second heat race. That's right. They're going to be coming at you fast and furious here at Weedsport. Leading off in this, it's another Dirt Panda driver in the form of William Hargraves. Behind him, it's Bobby Hayes with a very good qualifying performance, with Billy Northcutt and Hunter Hill lining up in the row behind them, and Kevin Moody bringing up the back of this second heat race.
Even though you were able to put up a fight on the outside line, I would expect William to choose the inside here. Of course, even if the outside were better, the initial jump he was able to get on the start, that is the pole leader, or the pole starter, sorry, was able to pull out on Chris Davis. So I would expect for William to choose the inside, but we'll see what happens here. It looks like he is going to go with the inside lane.
Agreed, and I gotta say, in this race, we've got a little bit of an out-of-position driver. Billy Northcutt, not used to seeing him qualify outside of a transfer spot. He'll be starting down on the low line in row 2. That 00 is gonna be a car that I'm gonna have my eyes on to move up and really put a challenge on Bobby Hayes for second place.
Yeah, he does have the advantage of starting third there. We saw the guy in third place also get a huge jump into third. So we can see if maybe he can try to get on the inside of Bobby Hayes. I still see the inside line as being better, so it's extremely possible that Northcutt can just kind of file Hargraves through and then only have to fend off that 13 machine of Bobby Hayes. So we'll see what happens. Pace truck about to pull off the field here, or the track, excuse me.
Indeed it is, waiting for the scamper, and there it goes off. Control switching over to William Hargraves. Hargraves hard on the loud pedal, and there he goes. That's a very wide run out of the corner for Bobby Hayes, and already Northcutt is up into that second place position, taking advantage of Bobby Hayes getting wide coming through turn 4.
Yeah, a little bit of argy-bargy there, almost contact between the 0 Northcutt and the 13 of Bobby Hayes. You can really see him trying to get as far down the track as possible. Now, of course, he's under attack from Hunter Hill in at number 12. More contact. You got to put Hayes under the outside wall down the front stretch.
Yeah, a little bit of a hip check there from Hunter Hayes. Is now he and Hunter Hill, rather, as he and Bobby Hayes start to duke it out there side by side, diving into turn 3. That's Hayes up on the high line, Hill down on the low line, trying to see who's going to be able to come out of that better. Very sideways for Hunter Hill, and now look at that, Kevin Moody starting to take a little bit of a look on the 13.
Yeah, you could definitely tell he was just kind of being patient, biding his time between these two guys, seeing which line would win out, and then he'd just take whatever line was faster. Of course, that's the inside right now, so trying to work on Bobby Hayes here to see if he can get on his inside and, of course, get that 4th spot away. Right now, like I said, they're running for points here, but they're also running for a better starting position in the B main. Of course, not everyone's going to make it tonight, so the higher up in the B main you can start, the better off you are to try and make the feature.
Most certainly, in that battle for P4 continues to rage on side by side between Kevin Moody and Bobby Hayes. Moody sticking down to that low line, and it looked like it worked there for a little bit, but Bobby Hayes now able to pull it out and have about a half a car length advantage as they come out of turn 2. We ride on board with Kevin Moody just trying that low line again as Barney waves the white flag for our leaders, William Hargraves and Billy Northcutt up front.
Yeah, Kevin Moody's really trying to give it all he can. He was able to make the inside work for a while, but you just see him kind of get that he steps out with that oversteer, just a handful of opposite lock to try and save the car. There's not much you can do at that point. You kind of already lost the position there because you get so sideways, but it looks like William Hargraves going to bring home the victory in heat number 2.
He is indeed, and Billy Northcutt going to be joining him in the A main. Meanwhile, Hunter Hill, Bobby Hayes, and Kevin Moody will be relegated back to the B main. A little bit disappointing there for such a good start from Bobby Hayes, but now we're ready to go in this third heat race here tonight. And our fellow broadcaster, Kenny Kibbe, going to be leading it off in pole with Steven Spies to his outside in P2. Jim Revis, another strong driver here, starting off in third with Jeffrey Harden and Matt Shanoski bringing up the back of the field.
Yeah, how about Kenny Kibbe starting on pole for this third heat? Fantastic job on his part to put himself in this fantastic position. If I'm Steven Spies here, I've seen what just happened in heat number 2, and I'm going to try to go as soon as I can to make sure I can just tuck in behind Kenny Kibbe here to make sure I don't fall back to third, because it's so much easier to just advance to the feature than have to go through the B main. A lot less stressful too.
Oh, most certainly, but I have a sneaking suspicion that Jim Revis behind him is going to give a pretty stout attack as well, so this could be a good trifecta in front. And Spees, one of those drivers we talked about a few times, really likes to be able to run on the low line. He's not a big fan of the topside dominant tracks like Eldora or Knoxville that we head to next week. So this may be a little bit of an advantage here for Steven, but one way or the other, he's going to have to take his lead off the pole sitter here in this third heat race, and that is Kenny Kibbe.
Yeah, if you're Jim Rivas here, you really want to put your front bumper right on the back of Kenny's rear bumper to make sure that Steven has as little chance as possible to get down between the two of you guys, so that hopefully you can follow Kenny on the start and get underneath Steven. How about also, just want to point out Matt Shanoski in the last row. Great to see Matt here. Didn't see him all that often last season, so whenever you do see him, it's always cool.
It is indeed, and as always, waiting for that iRacing pace truck to pull off. There it goes. Looks like Kenny's holding the field for a good long while, and there he's onto the loud pedal once they get onto that front straightaway. Steven Spees doing exactly what you talked about.
Oh, contact!
Ooh. Yeah, contact between Revis and Spees, it looked like, and that's going to allow for Jeffrey Harden to maybe have a look around the outside. He's starting to push his advantage up high right now, and that's going to be a two-side battle between him and Jim Revis for third. Steven Spees able to hold off into second, but they are very, very side by side here, and that's even Shanoski taking a little bit of a look.
Yeah, how about Matt Shanoski looking on the inside of Jeffrey Harden there? Like I said, the inside line currently is just still going to prevail over the outside. You can try to make it work the best you can, but you saw Jeffrey Harden kind of just blessings. Saw that hole, then slide it back down to the inside line. Going to get real sideways, though. Open the door for Matt Shanoski. Matt tries to gas it up off corner exit, but he just can't quite get all the power down as much as he'd like to, so just going to have to follow Jeffrey around for another lap here. These guys get real sideways. Up at the front, though, single file all the way, still Kenny Kibbe over Steven Spees. Steven is right on Kenny's back bumper, though, looking for any kind of opportunity that's going to present itself.
Yeah, he really is, and I think for Steven at this point, he is just driving, trying to look for a disadvantage. You see how low he's cutting down onto that wall through turn 4. He's got to be a little bit careful, though. They cross over here with 2 laps to go, and that's Jim Revis starting to look a little bit interested from behind in that 57 machine. All these 3 leaders about equidistant from one another.
Yeah, you got to be really careful cutting down as far as Steven is, because, of course, one bad move and your tire's just going to climb that wall out of turn 4, and you're probably going to flip your car over, which is pretty much day done. Certainly not going to advance if you're the top 2 of these guys, and if you're Jim Rivas, you're basically going to throw away a 3rd starting spot in the B main.
Exactly, and Jim here trying to see if he can maybe get out of that B main, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen as Kenny Kibbe crosses the line to take the win here. Steven Spees behind him. Jim Revis, Jeffrey Harden, and Matt Shanoski will be relegated back to that B main as we get ready for the next heat race here, and we've only got 2 more to go. This one is going to be led off by our championship leader, Brandon Proudfoot, with Robbie Robinson to his outside. Brendan Myers will be starting off in 3rd, and the Hoosier, Todd Liston, will be in 4th, with Chris Hazlip bringing up the back of the field in 5th.
Not too different a sight to see Brandon not on the pole. Of course, he is starting first, but this is the 4th heat. So he's only the 4th fastest qualifier. I still think he's going to choose the inside. Oh, no, maybe he's looking at the top here. Going to give Robbie Robinson the inside. Okay, maybe he sees something that we don't up here in the booth. Of course, he is the defending champion. I think he's got a couple championships under his belt, so we're not going to question it yet. I'm going to have faith in his decision here, but if I'm Robbie Robinson, I'm kind of licking my chops here.
Yeah. This could be an interesting leadoff for Robbie, but as we've said, one of the things that makes Brandon Proudfoot such an effective dirt driver in this Dirt Street Stock Series is his ability to read the track. So clearly he's got something here that not everybody is aware of. But for Robinson, maybe even Brendan Myers behind him, that could be something to keep an eye on as much as possible as they get ready to get racing here.
Yeah, definitely. I have to imagine if you're Todd Liston, you're going to want to try and follow the exact same line that Brandon does, of course, unless hopefully he might just gas it up on the start at the start of the race and try to pull down and clear Robbie. So we'll have to see what happens. But of course, the pace truck about to turn right outside the track to bring these guys to green.
And that's Proudfoot on a very, very high line, gets on the throttle and cuts down around the outside. A wonderful start from Brandon Proudfoot, but they're side by side behind with Robbie Robinson and Todd Liston doing exactly what you talked about, Austin. Robinson able to hold the low line, and that looks a little bit like Brendan Myers starting to get interested.
Yeah, Brand Proudfoot's going to stay up high here. Maybe that's good news for Todd Liston, but Robbie Robinson is still going to keep an advantage over him as Brendan Myers and Todd are going to be side by side. And don't look now, though. The 73 of John Wilson, I believe, is currently 75. Sorry, he's there to pounce. Oh, he's going to pounce actually on the inside wall. Luckily, though, you get a backup car in the B main, so if something is damaged there, he'll be able to get a new one.
Yeah, he will indeed. The best action during this heat race right here is still that battle for P3. Liston and Myers just trading that position back and forth. That's Myers down to the inside, Liston to the high side. Liston looking a little bit squirrely up high. You can see it there. He's going to lose out on that position for right now, but keeps his foot in it. Now trying a little bit of a midline on Myers. Gets very sideways and doesn't quite get the bite off the line he was hoping for.
Yeah, track's just a little bit too slick to be doing that crossover move. If this were asphalt, I would say 9 times out of 10, Todd's going to make that stick and get the position back. He's one of the best at doing that on the pavement, but of course, dirt's a little bit slicker. This track's also kind of weathered right now. Track's a little bit worn in, so all the grip's going away as we see Brandon Proudfoot now down on that inside lane, and you can see that patented one-hand wheel movement there, sort of Alabama tug-esque from Brandon.
Yeah, you can see him setting up the car with both hands and then just letting it ride out mid-corner with only one. That's very much how Proudfoot likes to drive, and driving it well here as he takes the white flag to the tune of about 1.5 seconds over his competitor, Robbie Robinson, in this race number 4. There comes Proudfoot coming back to the high line off of the corner, and that is going to be a heat race win for the number 22. Robbie Robinson behind him will advance to the A main with Brendan Myers, Todd Liston, and Chris Hazlip being relegated to what is sure to be an action-packed and dramatic B main. And we'll find out just who's going to be gridding up for both that A main and the B main here shortly, because we are about to dive into our 5th and final heat race here tonight. And leading it off, it's going to be J.R. Shepard, still looking for that first win in this series. Jason Best will be outside him in P2 with Seth Castle and Austin Smith lining up in row 2, and Justin Morton lining up in P5. A little bit of a surprisingly slow start for Justin as he was not able to set a qualifying time.
Yeah, I got to say, my favorite in this race overall has definitely got to be my Different Path Motorsports teammate, J.R. Shepard. I looked for him to get a great start on the initial jump and the green flag, pull out to maybe not as big a lead as Brandon was able to, but definitely come home with the win in this. And then Justin Morton is one of the best people at passing cars here. So while he might not finish second in advance right off the bat, I do feel like he might get up to third and, of course, then be able to start 5th in the B main, which is a lot better than having to start last in that, which he would now if he finishes where he's going to start.
For sure, and it looks like JR is going to opt for that inside line here, doing a little bit contrary to what we saw Brandon Proudfoot doing. That will put Jason Best to his outside, and so we watch here as this goes. Now, we often talk about how Justin Morton likes to ride around the high line. That's kind of his preferred area to go to. So we'll have to see if he jumps up to that or maybe changes things up a little bit as all eyes focus once again on that iRacing pace truck, waiting for it to pull off. There it starts to go. And now eyes focus to J.R. Shepard, slows the field down, and there he is on the loud pedal. He's going to be able to get a full car length in front as the lights go green. Everybody in relative single file order here. A bit of a slide up from Austin Smith on the track, and Justin Morton going to try to take advantage of that as he can. J.R. Shepard already pulling out about a 3-car length advantage as they dive into turn 2 for the first time.
Yeah, the 47 of Jason Best almost ended up making contact with J.R. Shepard, just really trying to make sure he could get down to the bottom lane and send the car in there to make sure he'd have a wide enough gap to cast him behind him to make sure that he wasn't going to be able to clear in a second. Don't look now, though. Justin Morton already made his way up to 4th. I look for him to get it to at least 3rd. We'll see if he can get 2nd. This pace out of him right here, I reckon he could do it.
Ooh, and almost a little bit of contact there between Seth Castle and Jason Best as they came around turn 4. That's exactly what Justin Morton's going to be looking for to see if he can have happen. Maybe a little bit of incidents befalling the drivers in front. There goes Justin up to that traditional high side that we're used to seeing him drive on. He drives the car very quick. He's got some good momentum, decides to stick it around the outside here again, looking for that crossover on the 90 of Seth Castle. Doesn't look like he's going to get it. They're going to cross the line here with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, Justin not there quite yet, but he is going to use the momentum of the high side down straightaway to see if he can kind of pull. Oh, he does pull the outside of Castle there. Great move by Morton around the outside using the trailer park girl line there. We'll see if he can clear Castle and maybe work on Best.
He's going to certainly try it, but he's running out of time as Barney gets ready to wave the white flag here for J.R. Shepard. Morton, in meanwhile, is trying to steep clear of Castle. He is indeed clear now. Sets his sights on the 47 of Jason Best. Tries to carry that momentum. Best runs a little bit of a slider line to be able to get it going. Not going to hold it, but here comes Morton looking down to the inside. He's going to try to go for the move as they cross the start-finish, but I think Best is going to have the momentum, and indeed he will. J.R. Shepard will take the win here in the final heat, followed by Jason Best. Morton, Castle, and Smith relegated back into the B main.
Wow, what a finish there from Morton. Almost made it all the way into the feature from dead last on the grid, but we'll get ready for the B main here to see who our starting field is.
As we get ready to do it, here is the starting order for that anticipated B main. Remember, 10 laps out here, and the top 8 will advance. Lining off in the pole is Zachary Chapman, followed by Hunter Hill, with Jim Revis and Brendan Myers behind them. Justin Morton will be in P5, followed by John Wilson in 6th. Austin?
Bobby Hayes is going to line up 7th, followed by Jeffrey Harden, Todd Liston. Seth Castile is going to be in the top 10. He's going to round out your top 10. Joe Segala is going to line up 11th. Kevin Moody is going to line up 12th. Matt Shanoski in 13th. Chris Heislip in 14th. And Austin Smith going to round out your B main field in 15th.
Indeed. So remember, this is the same kind of stuff that we saw during the heat race. No yellow flags will be thrown, but it is a little bit longer of a race. 8 laps out here today. So this is going to be big. Now, the one thing we haven't really talked about is the fact that the dust that's going to get kicked up. When we send more and more of these cars out on the track, the dust gets worse and worse and worse. And so as you're running in the back of the pack, it gets harder and harder to see.
Yeah, I would expect to see a lot of these guys maybe missing their lines going into turn 1, maybe a couple of them just barely tapping that outside wall. Got to be careful of that, and if you do get it all the way wrong, you might bounce off the inside barrier there, and of course that's probably going to ruin some suspension. The last time we were here, we saw a couple cars get airborne out of turn 4 there down the front stretch, so we'll see if that happens tonight. But looks like Chapman's going to choose the inside line here, still the preferred, it looks like. Good luck to him and the rest of these competitors in the B main.
Indeed. I'm going to have my eyes on Jim Revis and Justin Morton behind them as some big names that are in this B main waiting for the green to go. And there it is. That is Hunter Hill on the loud pedal. A little bit of a challenge there in the back. That was Revis trying to get very, very excited. They're almost 3 wide coming through 2. That's a great move on the outside there. There were 3 wide going down the backstretch. That's the 57 of Jim Revis all the way up into the lead, but they're still side by side for P2. That's Hunter Hill and Zachary Chapman.
I don't know how big a run Hill's going to get off the high side. Monster run, it looks like. He'll try and clear the 72 on the outside. Still trying to make that outside line work there. Surprised Justin Morton hasn't made a big of a move on the 72 yet. Still trying to battle with that 25 car. Looks like maybe the high line now is the faster one.
Yeah, that high line certainly coming a little bit of play here as Revis continues to run it. Morton looking good on the inside. He's been able to slightly clear Brendan Myers there and move his way up into 4th place. Oh, a little bit of contact. Yeah, that was Hunter Hill that I think got touched ever so slightly by Justin Morton. Now Morton moves back up to the high line. Brendan Myers coming down to the low line. Hill not out of this yet, continuing to push forward.
Yeah, Justin Morton's going to see that contact and go, thank you very much. I'll take that spot, and he'll take the high line away. See if he can pull those same moves he was pulling in his heat race on the 72 here to try and advance his starting position.
Yeah, he's really working at making that high line work to extreme advantage here. I think he's got a little bit of a run on Zachary Chapman as they come over the timing and scoring line, and indeed, he's going to be able to pull ahead, as is Hunter Hill. There you see Justin Morton on your screen, pulling into that 2nd place position as we are about to cross over here with 3 laps to go. Morton now setting his eyes up ahead on Jim Revis.
Let's actually, if we can here, take a look back in 8th place. There's a huge kerfuffle. Oh, actually, cars making contact here. That's going to be Jeffrey Harden and Seth Castile making contact. I think Jeffrey Harden's okay. A little bit of a slow start from him. Going to make more contact with Todd Liston. These guys are really going at it. This is the transfer spot, the last spot to get into the main race. We're
going to check a quick replay here from Chris Hayslip. You can see all the damage there that was on that car. Let's check it very, very quickly as we see that big kerfluffle as they all come in. Hayslip on the high side, big thwap into the wall, and there's the 2nd turnaround and hitting down into it. But we've got to focus back here because we're about to take the white flag here at Weedsport. Revis leads from Morton. Chapman, still a good battle going on in the back there. That's the 75 of John Wilson trying to fight on Hunter Hill.
Oh, Justin Morton hard into the outside wall there. I wonder if he's okay. It looks like his car is too damaged to continue at race pace. He might actually not make the race.
He's going to have to try to, but Jim Revis will win this B main as they come across. It's Chapman, Myers, Hill, Wilson, Hayes, Castle, and it looks like Justin Morton able to squeak by in 7th, so he will transfer into the A main. Hoi, Austin. Weedsport just proving an absolute delight and a bit of chaos out here today.
Yeah, that was absolute madness there, especially in the mid-pack. Surprised Justin Morton ended up hitting the wall there, but like I said in the pre-race, you just get your entry to one a little bit off, you can slam into the outside wall and ruin the entire right front of your car. That's what we saw happen to Morton there, I would suspect, and that's definitely what ended up happening to Hazlip. Of course, he was also helped by another car spinning him into the inside retaining wall there. Hopefully these drivers can avoid that in the main race, but we see these guys getting out here. You see Johnny Ratley, Brandon Proudfoot. These are all guys, the track has changed immensely, especially, you mentioned it, all that dust going to be up in the B main. When you see more dust, that's more and more track state developing to make the track slicker and slicker. Maybe move that preferred line higher and higher. You can see it looks like you could just skirt around the inside of the track there where it's a little bit lighter colored. There's less rubber down there, more grip. Of course, if you want to go on the outside, you're going to look for that same lighter tan color between the blackness and the brown marbles kind of up top, right where Brandon Proudfoot is. So two definitely main lines coming in here.
Yeah, most certainly 2 main lines started to come in, and I think that spells one thing in particular for us, and that is going to be some great racing in this A main. 40 laps out here at Weedsport. Cautions turned on, and caution laps do not count. As you said, drivers here just getting a feel for the track again, especially some of those winners from the heat races that haven't been able to be out. Sometimes these times aren't exactly representative as they're running a little bit in traffic and that, but looking at the top 5, it's, well, names you would expect. Rat, Hargraves, Shepard, Kibbe, Proudfoot, and Revis, all in those top 6. Billy Northcutt poking his way in there as well.
Yeah, this is especially important if you're Johnny Ratley. You know, he was last on track running almost a half hour ago, maybe 20, 25 minutes. The track state's changed a lot. So he's coming out here. He's trying to find out which lane he wants to start on. Do I want to start on the inside or the outside? Where's the grip? If I do get a jump, where am I going to want to take the run to? How, you know, what's the chance of a slider being pulled on me if I am the leader and the car behind me is just right on my rear bumper? Can he pull a slider? Is the grip going to be there? So that's all the things he's trying to figure out. And of course, the rest of these guys are too.
Well, and the one thing that I will say is a detriment in this warm-up session is that all of these cars out on track are wearing the track in even more, minimizing the area of good, grippy, moist dirt they're going to be able to jump down into. So that's going to change things a little bit for the race. We may see some drivers running into some trouble in the middle of the track as that midline really starts to go away.
Yeah, it's going to be bad if you're a driver because, of course, it means you either need to be really good at running the absolute inside right by that inside barrier or really, really close to the outside wall, and you risk damaging your car out there. But as a fan, this is what you want to see. I mean, this is going to be great side-by-side racing. And not all the tracks can do this, so it's going to be a real treat.
Yeah, indeed. As we continue to watch them circle around here, Chris Davis putting in a good time there to be P7, and it's not exactly surprising. You know, he is a Californian. That's where he grew up, and kind of cut his teeth racing with some guys you may have heard of, like Tim Clausen and Jeff Gordon. So Chris very clearly getting some of that talent moved on here. Looking for a good race out here today. I think a top 5 is definitely on the cards for that number 7.
Yeah, Chris is one of the best guys in iRacing. Really cool guy. Of course, he's one of the hardest racers to race against. He'll give you the absolute minimum room, sometimes even less than that. Super aggressive out here, but that's just part of it. That's just, you know, some of the characters you meet on iRacing. You look at the opposite end of that spectrum, you got J.R. Shepard, one of the fastest guys, one of the nicest guys. He'll give you, you know, whatever you need on track. He'll just give you the car width to get it done. This league is just full of clean racers. You know, just a great group of guys here.
Indeed it is. As we watch these last about 45 seconds of the warm-up come to an end, gotta ask you, Austin, who are you watching for in this A main? Any surprises you think we may see coming?
Surprises? I don't see any big surprises. I think Justin Morton's going to come from the back of the field and probably make it up to at least the top 5 by, I'm going to say, lap 30. Maybe a surprise to some people if you haven't watched this, and of course you're just looking at the race so far. Brendan Proudfoot, he's going to be starting 4th. He's just one of the guys that doesn't have the all-and-out qualifying pace, but like you said, DJ, he's one of the best people at reading the track. I feel like he's going to find where the grip is pretty fast and end up coming away here with at least a top 3, if not a top 2.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. A couple other guys that I'm going to have my eye on. Billy Northcutt, after that 2nd place in the championship last year, I think he's going to be out for vengeance, and another will be Jim Revis. All right, as we get ready to go racing here in the A main, we are absolutely excited to bring this all to you here today. It is going to be one heck of a time, and let's bring you through the qualifying order that will start off in this A main race. Leading off in the pole is Johnny Ratley, followed by William Hargraves, with Kenny Kibbe and Brandon Proudfoot lining up behind them. J.R. Shepard will be lining up in 5th, followed by Chris Davis, with Billy Northcutt and Steven Spies lining up behind them. Robbie Robinson will be 9th, followed by Jason Best in 10th. Austin?
Jim Revis is going to line up in 11th, with Zach Chapman lining up 12th. And 13th, we're going to see Brennan Myers. 14th is Hunter Hill. And 15th is John Wilson. 16th, Bobby Hayes. And rounding out your field is Justin Morton on the inside and Seth Castle on the outside.
Well, it is going to be a big to do here. It is great to see the Bootleg Racing League being able to implement that bumping. Obviously very hard for drivers like Hardin, Moody, Hazlip, Segala, Smith, Liston, and Shinoski that they've got to go home early, but it's what it's like racing on the dirt. You've got those bumps that happen. So here we get ready to go racing. The number 1 of Johnny Ratley leading the field. William Hargraves going to be to his outside, with Kibbe and Proudfoot directly behind them. It's a virtual murderer's row here in these top 5 rows. Getting ready to take the green flag. Ratley backing everybody up a little bit as they wait for the pace truck to pull off. Ratley continuing to wait, and there he goes, midway through the corner. He is on the loud pedal and able to get out to the lead. It looked like a little bit of a bad jump there for the 14 of Kenny Kibbe, as he's going to get passed on the outside by Brandon Proudfoot, already starting to challenge. William Hargraves down to the inside, lining up behind your leader of Johnny Ratley. Behind them, it's J.R. Shepard, Chris Davis, and Billy Northcutt and Steven Spies making out this top running order. We're almost 3 wide coming through turn 4.
No surprise to see Brandon Proudfoot working on the outside. Of course, he started there, one of the fastest guys in the league. Going to try to go around the outside of Kenny Kibbe. Oh, contact at the front. The 2 leaders make contact, almost spin each other out. Kenny Kibbe, J.R. Shepard, Brandon Proudfoot going to be able to take advantage of the 71 car, getting a little bit loose there. So Hargraves going to have more work to do here. Kenny Kibbe making more contact with those front runners.
Oh, Kenny Kibbe, just a sandwich in contact there between Shepard and Davis. Really nowhere for him to go. He got a little bit cockeyed coming out of turn 4, and the car just wouldn't grip back up under him. So that is a 3-wide battle as Davis has to back off a little bit, with Kenny Kibbe holding the high line. Up front, though, it's Brandon Proudfoot trying to make the move on William Hargraves. Dives it down in deep, and it looks like he's going to try to hold that line. Kenny Kibbe working again in the back there, but we ride on board with Brandon Proudfoot.
Yeah, what you're going to see Brandon do here, especially when he goes into 1, he's going to try to get as far down, as close to the 71's door as he can. Then he's going to let the car drift up to the outside and try to use the momentum down the backstretch. So he goes down, cuts down, goes right back up to the wall, almost touches it, and then going to use the momentum down the back here to try to get back to the outside of Hargraves. Not quite going to work. The outside isn't quite there just yet, but of course, the longer we go, the more that line's going to come in, the faster he'll be. But don't look now, though. J.R. Shepard in 4th as we watch this battle between Brennan Myers and Seth Castle in the back of the field here, this battle for 11th.
Yeah, and that's Myers trying to make it work a little bit on Castle, going down to the inside of the number 90, but getting squiggly off the line. We jump back to Brandon Proudfoot as he continues to try to work, but he has been passed by J.R. Shepard. Shepard on a mission here in the 98. All 4 cars now diving down to that low line. Proudfoot having to check up a little bit and getting a big lick.
Yeah, different path motorsports driver J.R. Shepard able to make the pass on Brandon Proudfoot. We're going to see the replay of that here as we come through. Just going to get a little bit of the contact with the inside wall. We're going to see that coming up about 5 seconds here. He just gets a little bit too low, barely nicks it. Of course, that's going to force the car up in the air. We see Seth Castle going to do almost the exact same thing here.
And here we go back to that replay. There it is, just JR down to the inside, gets a better run off of the line, and is able to slot right back up on Brandon Proudfoot. That is a textbook maneuver on how to get a pass done here at Weedsport. Up front, everybody relatively single file out on track as we watch Brendan Myers trying to hold off. That is Hill behind him.
Yeah, interesting to see that everyone has now kind of gone down to the inside line and really expected the high line to come in better here. But right now, it's mostly just follow the leader for the first couple cars. The next really good battle we have is, of course, this one for 10th that we're seeing all these cars kind of circle near each other.
Yeah, they're certainly getting a little bit spicy there. Another good battle, though, happening right now for P7. That is Billy Northcutt and Steven Spees duking it out. They've been side by side for a number of laps here. That's Northcutt up to the high side, Spees down to the low side. Spees, something wrong with the car. He is slowing down.
Looks like he might have actually hit the inside wall there, ruined some suspension on his car. It looks like he's going to end up pulling off down to the pit to get his fast repair. That's almost certainly going to end his race. He can, of course, get that backup car, but he's going to be multiple laps down by the time he comes back out onto the track. So right now, Billy Northcutt, we're going to ride along with him. This is, of course, a medal for 4th place, just ahead of Robbie Robinson.
And that is Billy now devoid of that fight, but we jump back here to right on board with Robbie Robinson trying to close down on that 00 in front of him. You see him just controlling the car as it comes through the corner, trying to hold on to it best that he can as those lead pack of drivers just kind of play a little bit of follow the leader, seeing if they can jump this way or that to try to get something. Robinson going down a little bit lower as we cross over here 14 laps into this feature.
Yeah, interesting to see what kind of lines these guys are all choosing to see if they can make any headways. We ride along with Justin. Whoa, big contact. Ooh, car actually up on the barrier there for Justin Morton. I believe that's going to end his day. Unfortunately, that's just one of the problems of riding along in the back of the pack there. You get involved in other people's accidents. John Wilson going to make more contact with the inside wall. He's going to try and limp it around another lap as you saw Justin Morton just dive into the pits there.
Yeah, and I think that was a little bit of contact or a little bit of miscommunication. Oh, maybe a little bit of a pass for the lead going on here as that is Johnny Ratley starting to challenge William Hargraves as they go in through turn 1. That is Ratley up to the outside. Hargraves able to make the move and hold on. That is Hargraves up to the lead. Now a little bit of contact. 1, 2, 3. That is Ratley getting spun around. J.R. Shepard, Chris Davis into it.
Wow, that's going to be probably almost half the fastest cars we had here. As you see J.R. Shepard just really try to get down to the inside of Ratley there, and Ratley gave him absolutely no space. You can't fault him there. It's just short track racing, but really unfortunate for the two of those guys, Chris Davis and then Robbie Robinson, having a great race, kind of a little bit further behind these guys, so they'll have it all to do. Of course, we're still going to have about 24 laps left at the end of this race.
Yeah, we are indeed, as that was an absolute kerfluffle there going on. Very, very tough. A lot of those lead drivers, as you said, getting involved in that. We're going to check out the replay here, Austin. I got to agree with you. This was just a racing incident with no one having anywhere to go.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it was. Ratley ended up losing the lead. I think what it was Hargraves just got a little bit down to his inside and was able to kind of force him up out of the groove. And of course, once Ratley lost 2nd place, he kind of knew he had to defend for all he was worth. And J.R. Shepard just really trying to force it down on the inside, and Ratley just left no room there. So as we're going to see the replay here, so there's Ratley on the outside. JR is to his inside, so of course, he's going to have the call there. And it looks like, just not a whole lot of room left down there. And even if J.R. Shepard tried to back out of the throttle, Brandon Proudfoot was right there immediately after. So you hate to see that for those drivers, but again, that's just short track racing.
Yeah, exactly. That contact, that momentum that just kind of carries everything forward. And right on board here with Brandon Proudfoot. Dives it into the corner. Didn't expect that checkup. Just a little bit of a bump to the back of J.R. Shepard. So that threw him out a little bit. We're going to reset here because we're ready to go green again. Now the inside here, this is going to be William Hargraves leading off, followed by Brandon Proudfoot to the outside. Our very own Kenny Kibbe is going to be there in 3rd with Northcutt to the outside in 4th. waiting here for that iRacing pace truck to pull off. Hargraves in control of the field. There goes the pace truck as it goes around right now. Hargraves a little bit late, gets off to a good start. He is going to be nice and clean away. Kenny Kibbe tries to challenge Brandon Proudfoot, but not able to get it done. Proudfoot right up on the bumper of William Hargraves. Now, what a great crossover move to the inside for Brandon Proudfoot.
What a move, because we're going to see the caution again. Of note, there was a lot of contact underneath the pacing laps of the last caution. Brendan Myers was spun, right reared actually by Jason Best. I think there was some net code there. Definitely didn't look intentional. But of course, a couple of the drivers in what was then the absolute back of the pack, that would be Ratley and J.R. Shepard, of course, making contact with some other cars and actually put J.R. Shepard into the outside wall. So we'll see if they got more damage from that. As we can see, J.R. Shepard actually electing to take his fast repair. It shows him being scored as maybe a lap down, as we see all the drivers come to an absolute crawl to try and let the iRacing pace truck to the front of the field here.
Yes, and what is interesting here by the looks of this is that I believe that that fantastic move by Proudfoot did not count. The yellow flag was thrown before he was ahead of William Hargraves, so Hargraves will reassume lead of this field. Looking behind here is the overtake as we ride on board with that. As I said, just a great crossover down to the inside. You can see it there really pay off. And Proudfoot getting a little bit sideways there in front of Hargraves, but it not paying off in the long run. No, excuse me. It looks like, I think, no, it still is Hargraves. Excuse me. It still is Hargraves in the lead. This is that contact you were talking about in the back, Austin.
Yeah, it looks like this is what ended up causing the caution here. Not quite what was the contact under caution, but as you can see, just a bit of an accordion effect, of course, putting Zach Chapman up on the inside wall there, and John Wilson just, of course, nowhere to go. So yeah, like you said, Hargraves still on pole. Looks like he might choose the outside line here. I'll have to see what ends up happening.
No, it looks like
come back down to the inside here.
Yeah, he's going to take back to that inside line. So everything's going to be about what we saw from these top 6 drivers or so. So that's going to be Hargraves, Proudfoot, Kibbe, Northcutt, Revis, and the number 90 of Seth Castle lines up in 6th. So here we go. Let's try this again. iRacing pace truck pulls off to the side. You see Proudfoot down in this corner of your screen, and green flag is out, and William Hargraves is on the loud pedal. There's Proudfoot now trying around the outside. Hargraves going to try to stick it down to the inside to make things work. They're going to be just about even coming out of turn 2.
Contact. Seth Castle. Actually turned by another car after making hard contact with the inside barrier. Looks like we're going to have to re-rack him and get ready to roll again.
We had such a good green flag run there to start things out, and now the racing gods coming back to bite us a little bit here. As you said, Seth Castle just getting a little bit of contact and getting turned on the exit of turn 2.
Yeah, you can just kind of see the disappointment there, and Brandon Proudfoot on his inside in-car camera there, just kind of dropping his hands down to either side of the wheel, in disappointment that he had such a great run there. He's really going to try to make everything happen. As you can see, Seth Castle just making a little bit of contact with Jim Rivas, and then that, of course, forces him into the inside wall there, and then he's collected by some other cars in the back of the field.
And here we can see from the stands what that looked like. He had it all there. Oh, it looked like Revis there just got a little bit squirrely coming off of the corner. The rear end wanted to snap on him, and that's what caused that 90 of Seth Castle to smack hard into the inside wall. All right, so we're ready to re-rack once again. Here we go. William Hargraves will be your pole sitter once more. Proudfoot behind him, followed by Kenny Kibbe and Billy Northcutt with Jim Revis, and now I believe that is the number 12 there, Hunter Hill, going to be starting off in 6th.
Yeah, you can see the running order kind of get reset as we're here on the pace laps. This is, of course, because the laps don't count under caution. So as the cars go over the start-finish line, it starts to re-rack that position counter on the left-hand side of your screen. So once the cars do come back around, it'll reset. So this is the correct order. Might be a little bit confusing here as the cautions go on.
Yeah, that'll be a little bit wonky to see, but once we get back going under green, that tower will right itself, and we'll keep you up to date as we go. All right, just 2 laps under halfway here at Weedsport. William Hargraves continues to lead from Brandon Proudfoot. Kenny Kibbe doing a great job to keep up in there, and Billy Northcutt behind them. So we'll see how this goes. Eyes now turn to William Hargraves, ready to get rolling, and there he is. A good start there for Hargraves, but Proudfoot able to challenge a little bit about the outside, hoping they can get through turn one nice and clean. Kibbe down to the outside, Northcutt up to the high side, and that's going to be a good run off the line for William Hargraves. He's able to separate. Billy Northcutt looking like he's going to challenge a little bit on Kenny Kibbe.
Yeah, that was a bit of an early start from Hargraves. Fortunately for him, though, it really worked a treat for him. As you can see, he's able to clear Brandon Proudfoot down the backstretch. Unfortunately, though, for Kenny Kibbe, like you mentioned, Billy Northcutt going to be on his outside trying to make that high line work. And don't look now, Jim Rivas is right behind these two guys, ready to pounce on the first car to get past.
Yes, he is, but he's just having to do a little bit of follow the leader here. Ooh, nice defense there from Kenny Kibbe. Almost was able to stop him up. We look back here. This is a battle with Chapman and Chris Davis. Remember, Davis on a little bit of a recovery drive. You can see the damage to John Wilson's car right up ahead of them. So that's certainly going to be slowing down that number 75 machine.
Yeah, almost a miracle he can even keep that car on the track with what kind of contact we had, but that just goes to show sometimes the damage is not what it seems. You can see right now Jim Rivas trying to defend, actually get past rather Billy Northcutt.
Yeah, Northcutt ran very wide there through turns 1 and 2, and that cost him a position to Jim Rivas. Northcutt now diving back down to the low side, trying to follow in those tire tracks, but runs up the track a little bit as they cross the line to start lap 23. So Northcutt just trying to hold on here the best that he can. He's still up 2 from his starting position, but I guarantee you he wants more.
Yeah, you can see Robbie Robinson still ready to pounce if Billy Northcutt goes up in the outside wall again, but you can see the middle of the groove there, really, really slick. You can see Robbie sort of enter in the middle. He just kind of slides way up the track there. Bit of a slider line. Of course, he's not going to take advantage of that and go all the way outside the wall, so interesting to see what kind of different lines these drivers are running. Looks like Brandon Proudfoot, though, getting a little bit closer to Hargraves each and every lap here.
Yes, he is. And in terms of the championship, it's important to note that Proudfoot is running so well here. His two closest competitors after that first round, Johnny Ratley and Steven Spies, did make the A main, but neither of them having good races. So that's not going to help them at all. We continue to run around here. Looking back, that is John Wilson trying to make a move to the outside of Chris Davis. That's the 72 of Chapman down to his inside, trying to make it work.
Yeah, if we could actually cut to this battle for the leader, I think Brandon Proudfoot's really sizing up Hargraves. I think he might make a move for the lead here in the next lap or two. He keeps trying to cut the corner a little bit lower. Going to look to the inside here. Not quite going to be able to make it happen. Hopefully he can do something down the backstretch. That's, of course, what he's thinking. Hargraves, of course, doing everything he can to try and force him low, really cut off that momentum. Little bit of a wall touch there from Brandon Proudfoot, really getting everything he can out of this car.
Yeah, Brandon is really pushing it here as much as he can. Kenny Kibbe carrying some good momentum behind him, so he's got to be looking at his rearview mirrors as well. This battle for P1 starting to develop into a 3-car race here, but Hargraves looking like he's got about a 3-car length advantage as they dive into turn 3. Ticking down here, 28 laps in the books, starting lap 29 right now.
Yeah, you can see this absolutely huge battle for 7th place is going to be between Best, Davis, Hayes, and Wilson. You can see two groups of cars side by side, almost 3 wide there in the back of the pack, as it looks like Chapman has to check up a bit for Wilson coming down the track, trying to correct his car just to make sure it doesn't slide too much there. Just, again, another one of those things you'll see on dirt track racing. Spies, though, trying to make up as many positions as he can, but, of course, he's a lap down. So, like you said, DJ, a lot of the main competitors of the championship kind of having some bad luck here.
Yeah, it'll certainly shake up that championship order, but it will leave Brandon Proudfoot on the top of the boards by our calculation. Yeah, and there you see Chapman trying to get in a little bit back on of Bobby Hayes right now. Chris Davis ahead in a fierce battle with Hunter Hill. They're swapping positions back and forth. Hunter Hill, whoa, with a big
contact into Bobby Hayes, going to send him into the inside wall. Luckily, both drivers able to continue on. As you see Chapman have to check up there, really get on the binders. I'm sure his eyes were as big as baseballs there, trying to check up to make sure he didn't run into the side of Bobby Hayes.
I'm sure he did as well, and it's very lucky there that they were able to get out and underway. We are under 10 laps to go here, so if that incident ended poorly, remember, it would be a single file restart here. But Proudfoot into the lead. He's made the move on Hargraves. Hargraves now to the outside trying to defend that position. It's all down to momentum coming off of turn 2, but it looks like that Brandon Proudfoot has been able to make it stick. Hargraves trying to work the high line here, though.
Hargraves going to try to dive down to the bottom of the track. Can't quite make it work. He's going to have the momentum, so we can see if he does something to turn one here. Almost gets right up to the back of Proudfoot's bumper there, all over him to see if he makes a mistake or even try to maybe upset the car a little bit. Kind of how Hargraves come off the corner sideways there. I have to wonder if Brandon made a little bit of contact, so maybe we can see that favor return here in the last couple laps.
We very well could, but Hargraves not letting this go quite easily. We've seen these two Titans do battle time and time again over the course of the past couple of seasons, but Brandon Proudfoot now has about a car and a half, 2-car length advantage. Hargraves carrying some good momentum along the high side. Proudfoot knows that he's going to come up to block him off. Kenny Kibbe tries to run a little bit behind. We right on board with the 14 right now.
Yeah, this is probably the best seat in the house in terms of the fight for the lead is probably Kenny's right here. He can see what both these guys are doing, see their lines, see which line prevails. Of course, Kenny wants to try and follow Brandon the same way that Brandon got past Hargraves. Kenny's going to try his best here, but I don't know if he can quite do it. I think he's a little bit too far back at the moment. But, of course, his laps tick down. Maybe Hargraves makes a mistake, goes a little bit too wide, almost like he did right there. Gets really close to the wall. You're going to see him come back down the track, get that huge boost of momentum down the backstretch.
Yeah, riding the car down the hill almost like he is at an oval. Now he switches down to the low line, just sticking right in behind the tire tracks of Brandon Proudfoot. Crossing over the line here, 3 laps to go at Weedsport. Our leaders are nose to tail.
Oh, contact! Well, Hargraves in the back of Proudfoot there doesn't upset the car enough to be able to make any sort of move, but of course that's going to let Brandon know, hey, I'm here. Okay, 1 bump, I'm here. 2 bumps, you're in my way. 3 bumps, you're going around. We'll have to see if that same kind of Martinsville-esque logic applies on dirt here from Hargraves to Proudfoot, but I'm sure Kenny Kibbe loves seeing that.
I'm sure he does too, but Brandon Proudfoot starting to pull a little bit of an advantage here to the tune of about a car length and a half as they come to the white flag right now. A little bit more contact potentially between Hargraves and Proudfoot. Proudfoot now trying to hold off that pink 71 machine on the last lap here at Weedsport. Hargraves runs a little bit wide. That may cost him ever so slightly as they go down the backstretch. He's going to have one last chance to make a look on Brandon Proudfoot. Proudfoot runs up a little bit wide mid-corner. Hargraves starts to make a push, but it's too little too late. Brandon Proudfoot takes the win here at Weedsport. Finishing out your podium, it's William Hargraves and Kenny Kibbe behind them.
Wow, what an absolute finish. You can see they're still fighting side by side as they come across the hill. That's going to be Bobby Hayes just barely beating Zach Chapman out for 11th place there, or 9th place, excuse me.
Oh my goodness gracious. Austin, that is exactly what you want to see out of dirt track racing. Some great battles across the field. Absolutely incredible. Brandon having a little bit of fun with a jump there over the middle of the track.
Is this Monster Jam or Dirt Street Stock Racing? I can't tell which with that jump there. That looked awesome, though.
Oh, it certainly did. And as we here in the booth catch our break, catch our breath rather, we're gonna run you through the final finishing order. It was what was a fantastic race here today. As we said, those are the warm-up results, but I can tell you that Brandon Proudfoot was able to take the victory here today at Weedsport. William Hargraves so close behind him. Kenny Kibbe coming back into the series and making a good splash to come home P3 with Jim Revis and Billy Northcutt behind them. Robbie Robinson came home in 6th, followed by Jason Best and Chris Davis in 8th. Hunter Hill was 9th, and Zachary Chapman rounds out your top 10.
Bobby Hayes is going to finish 11th, followed by John Wilson. Great job for him today to come back from that early contact with the wall. Brennan Myers is going to be 13th. Stephen Spees in 14th, followed by Seth Castle, Johnny Ratley in 16th, with J.R. Shepard and Justin Morton rounding out your 18-car feature event results.
An absolutely mega run here today from all of these drivers as we wait to be able to bring in some of the champions into the interview booth. I got to tell you something, Austin. If this is what this season of the BRL is going to look like, I cannot wait to keep going forward. Just waiting here, and I believe we have our winner here with us, ready to talk. Brandon Proudfoot, another victory here, this one at Weedsport, and this has got to be one of your hardest fought victories I've seen you run, my friend.
You guys hear me now?
Hear you loud and clear, Brandon.
There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was that definitely was a track. I took a gamble there in my heat races, and surprisingly, the top was in. I kind of threw it up there just because no one else did in the heat races, but definitely very, very tight race this evening.
Talk me through about that mentality coming in behind Hargraves like that. You were behind him for so long, and then you just kind of had to send it. Was that a now or never, or was that kind of a plan for many, many laps?
Constructed plan for sure. After I had to get to the bottom because I ran the top there at the beginning, and you guys might remember back at Linear last season, I tried to run the top, and you really burn up your quote unquote tread and get a lot of tire pressure, and that'll make you a lot slower. And if you run the top too long, it can hurt you towards the end. So once JR got by me, I knew the momentum wasn't there up top, and I was just hurting myself more. So from there on out, it was just a waiting game, whether it was William in front of me, JR, or even Billy.
Well, you handled it as we have expected from you very, very well. Obviously, your two championship rivals in the first round in the forms of Spees and Ratley suffering some issues here today. Gives you a pretty substantial lead in the championship. So with that in mind, are you starting to look big term, or are you still focusing just race by race at this point?
It's always race by race. I never go into a mindset like, oh, I gotta make sure I finish ahead of so and so, or because you get yourself like that, you're setting yourself a target throughout the whole night. You're not trying to just overall be your best. You're saying I gotta be better than him. And it's ultimately those smaller goals, like I'm gonna run the bottom at Weedsport, or I'm gonna try not to hit the wall running Eldora. It's those smaller goals where you'll make your personal improvements. It's not about the big ones. It's the small ones that count, and they add up quick.
Well, obviously the mentality has proved you pretty well for the past 3 or 4 seasons, Brandon. But anybody you'd like to thank for yet another win here tonight?
Of course, Fistful of Bourbon, winners get whiskey, baby. General Tire, Polaris RZR, Vision Wheel, Next Level Racing, Stance Racing Fabrication, Chris Leone Motorsport Drop, Law and all the guys that host the league make things go in the background. Amazing car count tonight, guys. Did not expect 5 heats at Weedsport. You guys here at Virtual Grip Network for doing the broadcast. Girlfriend, family roots me on, as well as all friends that root me on, and don't know where we're going next week, but if it's anything how it was tonight, this season's going to be a blast. It was a lot of tight racing.
Well, I can tell you we're headed out to Knoxville, and I can't wait for it, Brandon.
I'll be on the bottom or the top. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Brandon. That was your winner here tonight, Brandon Proudfoot, with another dominant drive. And now, Austin, I believe you have caught up with our second place finisher, William Hargraves.
Yeah, we got William up in the booth here with us. First off, William, great drive today. Come home just short of that win here. Tell us a little bit about your race, buddy. A little bit of technical difficulties here in the booth. It looks like William has his microphone muted. Give him a couple more seconds to sort that out.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
We got you now, William. Great job, buddy. Tell us a little bit about your race, man.
Yeah, sorry about that there. Yeah, it was a good race for sure. It was at the start of the race there, it was real hard to just get by Johnny there. It was so fast on the bottom there, and it really wasn't a lot on the outside, and just be patient and work my way around him, and I was fortunate enough to get by him there. We did do a little bumping and banging, but nothing serious, and then I thought I was kind of smooth sailing for the most part. I felt pretty confident, and I just kind of made a mistake there in 3 and 4 and got in the wall, and it just sent me up the track and left the bottom open there for Proudfoot to get on by me there, but then it was just pretty much over after that. But overall, it was a pretty good evening.
Yeah, you did a great job there at the front for the most part of this race. I saw once Brandon got back past you there towards the end, you guys made a little bit of contact. Was the bump and run kind of something you had in the back of your mind?
No, I wasn't really trying to do no bump and run or nothing like that. I just had a lot more. I tried something different that one corner, and I just ended up getting a lot more momentum than I expected. And I just figured I'd use the momentum and push us both along, I guess, at that point.
A little bit of a bump draft on a dirt track. You'll love to see it. William, is there anyone you want to thank for your second place finish tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to thank you guys for doing the broadcast. Luell and for putting this league on for all of us to race in, all the sponsors involved. I got to thank my Dirt Panda racing teammates, and that's about it, I guess.
Very good. We thank you for your time, William. I believe DJ Clark has caught up with your third place finisher, Kenny Kibbe.
I have indeed. Kenny, it's good to be talking to you from the other side of the microphone. That was a heck of a run from you out there today.
Yeah, this is like a win for me. I mean, that to come in here with how stacked the fields are in BRL dirt nowadays, and I'm pretty rusty, to be honest with you. Came in and this track just kind of felt right. My heat race, I was pretty. I left a lot to be desired in my heat race, but just had track position. But yeah, it just felt right, I guess. I think the way that this track drives, it's nearly like a pavement track where you had to drive with some finesse. I even used some braking and everything, and I think that just suited me tonight. And I got lucky too with avoiding that wreck in the middle of the race and having good track positions, everything. But yeah, I'm ecstatic.
I mean, it was a great run from you, and I'm curious to talk to you a little bit about your mentality coming in and seeing such a big field and knowing that those heat races and then in turn the B main were actually going to carry some weight, bumping was going to happen. Did that change your strategy, your mentality going into those events?
Well, it would have if I didn't qualify well. I was going to get pretty worried if I was going to have to be, starting third or fourth in my heat. But, if you can put a good qualifying effort down and then just, not wreck in your heat race and get that top 2 spot, the worries definitely go away there. But yeah, after we put down the good qualifying lap, that kind of put me back into my normal mode of like, okay, I can do this. Just got to have 6 consistent laps in the heat. We should be fine. And then go on from there. But yeah, that's a big field and a relatively small feature with it being 18 cars now. So yeah, it was a lot of cars got bumped tonight, but it was good to see a lot of people out here tonight.
It certainly was from our perspective. And well, now I got to ask you, you were calling races with me last week and now you're in the car. You notice any crossover or any help that you got by sitting in the booth? Did it transfer here tonight?
Well, I certainly got to scout some of the talent in this league. I've been watching on and off the broadcasts as I've been away, but I got to pick out some of the cars that were like, okay, he's a player, and the guys I haven't raced with before. Or haven't often. So that was one thing that helped me, just to know who some of these guys are. And obviously, the guys up in the front, we raced really clean, and it was a heck of a lot of fun, even though I was around guys I haven't raced with a whole lot.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kenny, it was sure a heck of a lot of fun to be able to watch it. Anybody you want to thank for this third place here tonight?
Yeah, just everybody at the Bootleg Racing League, and Lowell for putting this thing on, and you guys at VGN for putting on the broadcast as always, and all the competitors that came out tonight and who will come out tomorrow night. I'll be sure to tune into that broadcast as well. Everybody who likes to ride on board with me every night for these races, and yeah, it was a great night tonight.
I couldn't agree more. That was Kenny Kibbe, your third place finisher here tonight at Weedsport. And well, folks, that's about going to wrap things up for us here. But before we go, we'd like to once again thank our sponsor for tonight's event, Gargamel's Kitchen. Visit them at their office at 2045 South Valencia Street in Denver, Colorado. Or go ahead and give them a call at 720-707-6178. On behalf of Austin Belkey and the rest of the Virtual Grip Network, we'd like to thank you for joining us here tonight at the virtual Weedsport Speedway. The next race for the Dirt Street Stock Series is going to be at Knoxville next Friday, October 15th at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And up next on the Virtual Grip Network, well, that's tomorrow night as the BRL Grand National Series heads to a new track, the Hickory Motor Speedway. That race will be kicking off tomorrow, October 9th at 8:55 p.m. Eastern. As I said, we'll be back for that next race at Knoxville. But this has been a production of the Skidder Creek Motorsports Group and the Virtual Grip Network. Until we see you on the track, thanks for watching.